Hi everybody, welcome back to Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. In fact, I say welcome back, but really this video is for people who are thinking about buying it or playing it and are thinking, well, what is it all about? Where's it set? What's in it for me? What sort of game is Stalker 2? So while we take a stroll in the lesser zone, I thought I would sort of fill you in. So Stalker 2 is a single player, open world, story driven, post-apocalyptic shooter adventure game. Okay, so what that means is it's set in this massive world with RPG elements. I should have added on the end. Think Fallout 3, think Fallout 4, think Fallout 76, think Ubisoft open world games like Assassin's Creed open world, but without all of the different markers that kind of spoil those sort of games with lots of different things. It's set in, I guess it's like a post-apocalyptic Ukraine. So what's happened in 1986? There was the explosion at the nuclear power plant in Chernobyl, just like in our world, and the exclusion zone was created around the power plant, just as it was at the time. So this massive area where everybody was evacuated from it, and the army checked nobody could come in. However, in the Stalker universe, a few years later, there was a second explosion that happened. Then all these strange things started happening inside the zone. These strange anomalies appeared. Like, this is one here. Let me throw a bolt into it. There we go. Not very nice. And these anomalies had lots of different effects. So that one was like almost like a wind anomaly, like a mini sort of hurricane, but some of them were fire, some of them were gravity, some of them were lightning. And around these anomalies, if you had the right equipment, you could then find artifacts, and these little objects would have special, almost supernatural powers. So they could make you stronger, they could make you have more resistance to radiation, they could heal you, all sorts of things. So these things were worth a lot of money. And so stalkers, or thieves or vagabonds, which is basically kind of what you're playing in this game, came into the zone, sneaked into the zone past the army to find these things and to make their fame and fortune, if you like. And that's kind of where the stalker comes from, the Stalker universe. And then inside the zone, you then had this kind of economy and society build up, which was made up of stalkers who were looking to find and sell artifacts. All right, there. See, look, there's a really interesting anomaly over there. Look at that one. Look at that. They're very dangerous things, though, these as well. They can kill you very quickly. You had traders who would buy the artifacts and sell supplies to the stalkers. You'd have bandits who would look to attack and steal the stalker stuff. You'd have diggers. So diggers are people who would come to the zone not looking for artifacts, but who would come looking for valuable equipment. So obviously after the nuclear accident, there was an awful lot of equipment left behind because it was irradiated, so they would dig through that. You'd have the military, the real military, who are hanging around. You'd have military people who'd left the military. You would have almost like freedom fighters, so like a faction where they believed that the zone shouldn't be controlled but should be understood. You'd have scientists, and then you'd have mutants and mutated animals and various monsters that have been created by the radiation and the strange things that were kind of happening. So that's kind of the world, this exciting, amazing post-apocalyptic world. And then your job when you come into the game is basically to follow a main storyline. You've got to find a character. I'm not going to go into any details, so I don't want to spoil anything. But the real beauty of the Stalker games, including Stalker 2, is the sheer open worldness of it. So this is my PDA that I can use, and this is kind of the map. And as we discover places, we can start to visit them. So at the moment, I'm just in the lesser zone. It's not even the real zone. I'm in the lesser zone. And then I've seen the burnt forest over there, and I think this is probably the power plant. Maybe there's a cooling tower. That might be it. And I think some of it is hidden by these clouds. There's all these different huge areas that we're going to use to kind of explore and wander around. And then on this map, I've got my main sort of story quest to follow. So go and see this person, talk to them. Right, can you go and find this thing for me? Can you go and find this person? Can you go and kill this person? Can you go and get this piece of equipment? And you follow that just like you would in any other sort of story mode game where you're wandering along. You're doing stuff. But as with all great games, the fun is in the side missions as well. So there's all these options you can do where you talk to NPCs and say, I'll tell you what, you can give us a handkerchief. Or this thing's over here, you might want to go and check it out. And then you have these separate adventures that are happening. All the time while you're doing this, you've got your equipment which you can upgrade. So you can find or trade or buy or upgrade your weapons, which are constantly getting worn out, so you need to repair them, and your clothes, and also your character. Let's bring up my inventory. Obviously we've got all these weapons and ammunition that we can carry, but we also have the option to carry artifacts. So as we get artifacts and we can use them, we can put them on our person, and this is like the RPG element. So maybe we'll find an artifact that protects us from radiation, so we can put that on our belt, which means that we can go to places with high radiation, and we could easily use an artifact, and we could use anti-radiation medicine, that kind of thing. You get better armor, you get better headgear, you get better protection against the dangers of the zone, which allows you to go into more dangerous situations. So, for example, you might just simply have more armor, so you can take on more dangerous NPCs and more dangerous animals than you could before. And that's kind of how you progress. But the star is really is the zone. So if, for example, you've played DayZ, the star of DayZ is the maps, isn't it? It's the environment that you're in, and it's kind of like that in the zone, because not only do you have this wonderful map that you're wandering around and you're exploring, and you'll just stumble across things like you would in Fallout as well, but you've also got the fact that wandering around the map are the NPCs and the mutants. So there may well be like an army patrol that's wandering around, and they might bump into some bandits and start having a firefight, or bump into some mutant dogs and they have a battle with them, and then you can come across their dead bodies, or you might get involved in it and they might start attacking you. So all these kind of emergent gameplay things start to happen. Really is very, very cool. And from what I've seen so far, although there are a few frustrating things, and very early days for me, mainly to deal with how dangerous the mutant animals are. The dogs especially are very dangerous, but maybe this is because I haven't got good armor. And it's early days. This is a massive game. It's been produced by a developer who's working in a war zone, and I'm sure we'll see improvements to the game as we go along. But I would say, kind of as a headline, what is Stalker 2 like? If you've previously played games like Fallout, imagine like it has very much a Fallout 3 vibe. I kind of felt, but Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, that kind of thing. If you've played DayZ, it's a bit like DayZ, but with things to do and with NPCs, because it's a lot of the buildings and vehicles you come across. It's Eastern European. This is set in the Ukraine. Will be similar to the stuff you find in DayZ, which is kind of set in Southeast Europe, kind of that way as we go along. And it's very, very good. And obviously, if you're on Xbox or PC, you can get it on Xbox Game Pass. Right, here we go. So here come these bloody dogs. And they're a right pain to deal with, so I'm going to get inside this house. And kind of defend myself here. This is the only thing I've found frustrating so far, is the animals can be a little bit difficult to deal with. There we go, especially if there's lots of them. So what was this? So this looks like some sort of dog. So there may be more of them, so I need to be careful. But there we go. Hopefully that gives you an idea of what Stalker is all about. Well, what Stalker 2 is all about. And I highly recommend it. If you're a Fallout fan, if you're a DayZ fan, this is the game to play. Anyway, that's enough from me. Hopefully this helped. If it has, or if you've got any other questions, please put them down below. And of course, I'll see you again soon.